Hey guys, it's Jeff from CapX Cards. Today I'm going to talk about some of the baseball cards that I'm buying to send into grading, hopefully to get them back prior to the start of the season. And we are just a few days away from Christmas, so that deadline, at least for baseball, to get cards shipped in and to hopefully get them back, at least in the very first part of the season, that deadline's coming up. There's no official date, of course, but typically I use GameStop, and most of my turnaround times are running 60 to 75 regular days. So not business days, 60 to 75 regular days. Now they have warned that timetable could expand some going forward because of demand. But GameStop does have like their own facility. I don't know exactly how it all works with PSA, but they do have a dedicated center, I guess you could say, where they process things. But bottom line, no matter which way you're submitting, it's running out of time to hold these cards in your hand prior to the baseball season. Now, a quick disclaimer here before we jump in. If this is your first time on the channel, I just started this whole grading journey this year, in fact, late this year. So take everything that I'm saying in this video with a grain of salt, do your own research, all that stuff. I'm just showing you how I'm looking at things, and maybe it'll spark some ideas for you. All right, so on the screen right now is just a simple spreadsheet that I put a bunch of different ideas in regarding MLB players that I sort of wanted to target heading into the season. I actually used AI for this particular spreadsheet, at least the stuff that you're seeing right here, just to give me an overview, and then I kind of cross-reference that with other stuff. You see the names that are highlighted. We'll go through them sort of one by one, but the reason these names are highlighted specifically on this AI list is because they are all players who are in contention, if you can see this, for Rookie of the Year. And this Rookie of the Year favorites comes from a, I guess, article or blog post that's on the BetMGM website. And so I'm sure these odds change all the time. When was this article? This article was written on December 4th. I'm sure these odds change every day, but they're, this is probably a pretty good period to look at it. There's not a lot of activity going on, but this is just the odds. This is just the Vegas odds. If you do anything in sports betting or anything like that, you know that the odds are usually pretty strong. So I took this information and sort of combined it with my AI spreadsheet, and then some personal preference on card values and card potential to roll into these names that I have highlighted here. Now, one thing really quick to know about me in terms of preferences, and you can see these lines here, I'm not interested in scouting pitchers, okay? So I'm looking namely for bats, everyday players, so to speak. So some of these names that I have crossed off, like Savage, Connolly Early, those two are pitchers, and they may go on and have fantastic years, and I have a couple Savages off into grading, but I'm not generally buying pitchers right now. That's just a personal preference. And with that, I should say I don't necessarily care if these guys actually win the Rookie of the Year. It's just more of a who's hot, who's the popular opinion, so on. I probably won't even have these cards when the Rookie of the Year comes out. So I'm just using this as another data point. You also see Chase DeLauder that I have crossed out. He's 24 years old. So to me, he's kind of past the exciting part of his life as a prospect. So I'm just staying away. On the rookie side for the NL, obviously Nolan McLean, Bubba Chandler, and Jonah Tong are three names that I'm not going to target due to the fact that they are pitchers. All right, so what's the next step in finding cards to grade from these guys that are highlighted? And the website that I use to get preliminary information is the Sports Card Pro. This is a free site I do think you have to set up an account and log in, but I've never paid $1 for it. And I just like the way that they stack information. And you can see right at the top, nothing fancy here. We just typed in Samuel Basallo, and we get a whole bunch of different cards, and you get the ungraded price average based on what's sold on eBay. Then you get a 9 or a PSA 9, and then the PSA 10 price is off to the far right. So we're just kind of eyeballing ungraded and PSA 10 just to get a feel for where the opportunity is. And as I mentioned to you before, for at least my budget and the way I'm approaching things, I really am looking for cards that are under $50 raw. And then from there, I want to see PSA prices, at least double that. And in most cases, I want to see them over $100, something along that range. So that's how we'll start things off with all of the players. And to save on time, the good thing about Mr. Basallo is that his cards are not mega expensive right now. So I've sorted price high to low. You can see the ungraded version at the top was a 2023 Bowman Draft Chrome Pearl variation, but I want to get under 50, so I'm eyeballing this column. It may not show up very well on your screen, and hopefully we can find one that's not as big of a variation so that it's a little easy. Here is a, let's see what this one is here. Bowman's Best of Autographs. This is from 2023. This actually has pretty good sales volume here. You can see it's a little bit all over, but you got a $45 sale on 12/18. Someone picked it up for $35. You can also get dunked into the 70s, but when I go down the line, particularly in early November, you could have easily found this for under 40. And on the PSA 10 side, you do have sales over 100. The recent ones, you got 105, then you got some 70s, 80s, 90s. And in my opinion, there'll be a lot more chatter about this player going into the season. So even if the sales today were in the $82 range, I think that you would easily add 20% as we get closer to the season, assuming no injury, etc. So this card does fall into place as something that I would look for on eBay and try to target. Now, something we're not going to look at here, but as you go through these potential targets that fit in your budget and your expected return, it is helpful to go over to gem rate and just see what, how are things doing in terms of the gem rates for these cards. Are these all, has there been, let's just say, 25 submissions and 20 of them are 9s and 5s or 10s? That could be a bad sign. This is another promising one that would be, I would assume, relatively easy to find. 2024 Bowman Megabox Autographs, ungraded. Last sale was way back in September. So I don't know if you'll find this. I thought that'd be more widely available, but we can see that in August, you had a sale for $128. So it might be worth digging into this one a little bit more and see what you can find. All right, the second name on the list, Walker Jenkins. Again, we're sorting price high to low. I'm not buying the $700 Bowman Sterling, but let's see what we can find under $50 or so. And we have a Topps, this should be relatively available. This is a 2024 Topps Pro debut, Walker Jenkins Auto. Now, it's right at the line at 49. Looks like back in Halloween was the last sale. It did come in under 50. You've got a lot of 39 and 50 sales. And then, and this is a good example in case you run into this. So this PSA 10 column is 0. All right. Now, one thing that Sports Card Pro does is they have estimates when they don't have the data for PSA 10. So How accurate is 216? I have no idea, but for purposes of what I'm doing, I'm just going to skip it because here is another one that should have better data. 2025 Bowman Chrome Prospect Autograph, 1 sale per week on the ungraded. People are picking this up for about $55 to $60. And the PSA 10 last sold around Thanksgiving or so for $144.50. So yeah, this would be a decent one to target. Raw to PSA 10, you're getting into the potential 2.5 to 3 times value. So check gem rate and maybe look at that as an option for Walker Jenkins. All right, third name on my list, J.J. Weatherholt. Same exercise, going to skip all the high-end cards, try to get down to $50 or below. And let's see what comes up here. This is a numbered variation, but let's take a look at it. The Fuchsia variation of 2025 Bowman Chrome Prospects, BCP 22. I think this is an estimate. Yeah, this is an estimate for the PSA 10, so I'm going to go back a notch and see if we can find something with real data. I would imagine Sapphire. Yeah, Sapphire has real data. And this is a good example because these cards are out and about. I see them all the time. Picking up raws for about $40 or so, as recently as $12.20. We have 3 PSA 10 sales, most recently on 11/22 for $142. And again, this is, the cold, dark days of December heading into January. So I think you could easily put a 20% premium on this card as you entered the first, let's just say, couple days of the season. All right, you get the gist of everything. Let's just do one more. Bryce Eldridge, and this one I went ahead and picked out an easy win. Bryce Eldridge Refractor, BDC 107. That's 23 Bowman Draft Chrome. Actually purchased one of these very recently. And check out this, all day long under $20. Now, technically, the average on PSA 10 is 73, but you can see here in December, it started to go up a little bit. So we've had 89, 80, most recently for 100 for a PSA 10. With the price under $20, that's the kind of card, like in my budget, I could probably be comfortable buying 2 or 3 of them to try to secure that 10 and, hopefully get 2 out of the 3 or something like that. All right, guys, so you got a peek at some of the names. Let me know if you like this video. It started to get long in terms of cutting stuff and whatever. But if you enjoyed it, I'll definitely do it a lot more. Any support you want to give on like, subscribe, comment, all those things definitely helps and tells me which videos you like best. But bottom line is we're coming to crunch time in baseball if you want to grade the cards prior to the start of the season. I showed you how I sort of came up with the cards that I'm looking for, but there's lots of different variations to this that we can get into that I've been kicking around and exploring myself. We're really just looking at kind of like rookie of the year type prospects, but we can dig in all day long. You sort of have the veterans and, the judges and the Shoheis and whatnot. We can do videos on that if you like it. The other wave of players that I will likely still buy heading into spring is the prospects that are basically guaranteed to be down in the minor leagues, right? Guys that are in AAA who have a crack at making it to the pros this year. They have a decent chance to get called up, ideally in the June, July, if we can do that, because that would be a bump to their prices, but certainly by the end of the year. So that's another swarm of people that I'm looking at. All right, happy holidays to everyone out there. Hope you enjoyed this video. We will see you on the next one.